إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So the topic that we have reached in the book of major sins is su'a dhann bil muslimin, having evil thoughts of the Muslims. I mentioned قول الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم. It mentions, O you who believe, avoid plenty assumption and suspicion, for indeed some assumption is sinful. Now, of the things that's mentioned من الكبائر, Shaykh Fawzan حفظة عليه mentioned من الكبائر سوء الظن بالمسلمين, having bad thoughts or evil thoughts of the Muslims. فالأصل في المسلم الخير والعدالة. It mentions the foundation of the Muslim is goodness and trustworthiness. فلا تسيء الظن بأخيك المسلم. So one shouldn't have bad thoughts of their Muslim brother إن لم يكن عندك دليل على ما ظننت فيه, unless you have evidence for that which you assume or think of them. So one shouldn't just have bad thoughts of a Muslim without any evidence that supports that view that a person has. And unfortunately, I find this is something that's lost today among many. So it says, for example, فمجرد الاتهام لأخيك المسلم دون دليل على ذلك يعد كبيرة من كبائر الذنوب. For a person to accuse their Muslim brother or sister of something without evidence for that which they have accused them of is a major sin. فالله جل وعلا أمرنا باجتنابه فقال يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم. And he mentions Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to stay away from this. When he mentioned, oh you who believe, stay away from plenty of assumption, for indeed some assumption is, or speculation better to say, is sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions كثيرا أن بعض الظن يكون إثما فأنت تجتنب الكثير خوفا من الوقوع في القليل. Here it mentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned many, because some speculation is sinful, and as we mentioned, it's from the major sins. So if a person stays away from it a lot, they're not going to fall into the little that may be the sinful part. Also, هذا يدل على خطر سوء الظن بالمسلمين. This also shows the evil of having bad thoughts with the Muslims. فإذا بلغك عن أخيك شيء أو حاك في نفسك شيء فعليك لا تستعجل. It mentioned, if something comes to you about your brother, or you had a feeling within yourself or thought within yourself, it's upon a person not to be hasty in acting upon what they've heard or what they've speculated. وأن تتثبت في الأمر. Also, that a person goes and makes affirmation and confirms that which they heard of that news. فقد يكون الذي بلغك فاسقا كذابا, because the one who has informed you may be someone of evil, someone of immorality, someone who's a liar. أو يكون الخاطر الذي جال في نفسك من الشيطان, or that speculation that has come to your mind may be from shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. Allah says, oh you who believe, if someone, a fasiq, a wrongdoer comes to you with news, then affirm, clarify that you may afflict a people with ignorance and become regretful and remorseful of that which you have done. And both these ayat in Surah Al-Hujurat. Sheikh Fawzan, he mentions, ليت بعض الإخوان الآن من طلبة العلم يحذرون من سوء الظن. Unfortunately today, many students of knowledge, they warn against people from bad thoughts of the Muslims, not based on evidence. والوقوع في أعراض العلماء وطلبة العلم, and they do wrong regarding the honor of scholars, of people of knowledge and students of knowledge. How widespread has this become today? I'm not talking about situations where it's justified, but the amount of people, all they do, oh, stay away from this person, don't listen to that person, he's a person of innovation, but you've never spoken to that person. There's nothing of their lessons, anything that they've put out of their lessons that shows that this is a person of innovation. However, they say he's an innovator. Stay away from him. He's not upon the sunnah. Avoid him. Don't take knowledge from him. But it's based on what? Speculation. Not based on actual evidence. Or, as the Shaykh he mentions, فترى كثيرا منهم يتهمونهم ويصفونهم بأوصاف حربية أو مذهبية بدون تحقق. So you find they attribute or accuse them of different accusations or mention about them different attributes of that are to do with certain methodologies and the likes, or extremist groups and the likes, without any affirmation or due investigation. It says حتى ولو ثبت أن فلانا من الناس عنده بعض الأخطاء أو ملاحظات. Even if you confirm that a person has some mistakes, then فعلاج ذلك يكون بالمناصحة والاستفسار والتوضيح. It mentions if a person makes mistakes, then the treatment for that is that it comes with giving them advice and also seeking clarity, asking them to explain their position and the likes. أما الاعتماد على الأقوال والظنون. As for depending upon statements and speculations, فإن هذا مما حذر الله تعالى منه. Then this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us from. And كثرت هذا اليوم. This has become abundant today. A person comes to a masjid, there's durus, they've been attending the lessons. The next thing you know, they stop coming to the lessons. You ask them why? Oh, the teacher is a mubtada'. The teacher is an innovator. Why? Because so and so said he's a mubtada'. Okay, what's the evidence? So and so said. So you're prepared to stand before Allah Azza wa Jal, and your evidence for accusing a person of being an innovator, being upon other than the sunnah, potentially deserving the hellfire, because that's what is the reality, based on so and so said. This is the problem you have today. Or I don't see him aligning with certain individuals or posting certain individuals or showing allegiance to certain individuals, so I believe that he's a mubtada'. I believe he's an innovator. So don't take knowledge from him. This is خلاف السنة. وهذا ما أمر الله تعالى اجتنابه. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to stay away from. If a person wants to warn against a person, have proper evidence that this person, their actions or their statements are opposing the sunnah, the methodology of the sunnah. Yes, then we have that discussion. However, the primary objective is what? Bring that person back to the sunnah, not to defame them, to destroy their honor and the likes. That's not the objective. the objective is to give them advice that they make tawbah, they come back away from their deviance. But Allahul Musta'an, today, a person sometimes hasn't even made a mistake. The mistake is speculated, and then let's go to social media and let's go to the phones and send messages talking about this person, warning against this person. And the worst and the saddest, when the most jahil of people, scholars who have spent longer than we've been alive seeking knowledge and teaching, this deviant, the way they address them, and it's not based on the fact this person opposes the sunnah. There's no evidence that they have opposed the sunnah. It's based on, my sheikh said he's a deviant, and we was told to warn against them. Allahul Musta'an. This is not something that a person is to take lightly. One is to tread carefully, because of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made sacred among the Muslims is a person's honor. A person's honor. So you find, Allahul Musta'an, there are many people who they boycott for years, no benefit at all. They don't even give salam. We've heard worse than that. They say, this is not my brother in Islam. What is this person, in a kafir? If they're not your brother in Islam, what are they? And it's not based on evidence, it's based on speculation. It's based on he said, she said. Or it's based on my teacher's opinion. I don't care about teacher's opinion. We want to know, what is the evidence that they've opposed the sunnah? What's the evidence that this person, this individual themselves, is a person of innovation? What's your evidence? Don't tell me so-and-so said. This is not evidence. So-and-so said in last night's gathering, mashallah, we had a sitting, it was so beneficial. The sheikh or the teacher said, stay away from X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's the only benefit you took? Why did he say that? What's the evidence? Oh, I don't know. And I was talking to one of my teachers the other day about it. And we recalled a situation that happened about 10 years ago. A brother came to the masjid saying, Akhi, you have to stay away from that sheikh. He's got major mistakes in Iman. It wasn't the case, but that was his opinion. So he was pushing, you have to stay away from him, free yourself, clarify, X, Y, and Z. So the teacher said, what's the mistakes? The brother said, what's the mistake? He said, you have to speak to so-and-so, he can tell you. What do you mean? If you want to claim that someone's made mistakes, have your evidence. Don't tell me to go back to another person. It's become Chinese whispers. He said, she said. You want to warn me from someone, but you're just telling me, oh, so-and-so said. Okay, why? I don't know. You have to ask him. But I believe him. He's trustworthy. We're in a time when we take that with a pinch of salt. What is the evidence? Because now this is the honor of someone that you're attacking. So what's the evidence that justifies why we should not listen to this person? Why we shouldn't take knowledge from them? Why do you label them with the names you've labeled them? Because what happened? He said he made mistakes in Iman. Okay, what are they? I don't know. Speak to this person. No, you've come. Tell us what are the mistakes. Furthermore, before we even get into the mistakes, what is Iman? When the brother asked him, what is Iman? He said, Ismun jami'un li kulli ma yuhibbuhu Allahu wa yardah. He started giving the definition of ibadah. So who's the mubtadi' now? Who's the one who we shouldn't take knowledge from? You're mixing up the definitions. You don't even know the definition of Iman, but you're claiming someone's made a mistake? How can you stand before Allah and say, I refuted this person, I warned against this person, saying they made mistakes in Iman, which is belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the belief of the heart, statements of the tongue, actions of the limbs, it increases with obedience, the creases of disobedience, but yet you've said a whole different definition. Clearly, you don't even know what is Iman. And you want to talk about mistakes in it? But this is the problem. At-tasaddur was-isti'jal. That people put themselves at the forefront and they're hasty. Also, to make it seem like it's something binding upon the general people is something that's of a grave error as well. These are matters of knowledge for the people of knowledge, not for the general masses. People today are learning this person's an innovator before they even know how to pray, before they even know how to make wudu. And that's because we've got our priorities wrong. لَيْسَ كُلُّ عِلْمٍ يُقَال. Not everything known is to be said. And one is supposed to know the places is to be discussed, and whomsoever is supposed to be discussed with. But again, it comes from having bad thoughts of the Muslims. It's like these people have this friend, this alignment to people based on friendship, not based on the truth. Or because I like that person, I don't like that person, so yes, let's warn against him. Let's speak bad about him, let's turn the people away from him. Okay, what's the evidence for that? What is the evidence? So when you want to warn and tarnish a person's character, especially people of knowledge, make sure you have your evidence that you're prepared to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with. Not that you're saying, my sheikh, my teacher said, la, this is not evidence. This is not evidence. And as I mentioned, Allahul Musta'an, Sheikh Fawzan also mentions, أما إذا كان الدافع هو الغيرة على الدين. If the factor that pushes a person towards this is the zealous, protective jealousy of the religion, فعليك بالتثبت. You have to make affirmation of the news that has come to you. خوفا من أن تصيب أخاك بجهالة. In a state of fear that you afflict a person's honor out of ignorance. فبعض الإخوان تدفعه الغيرة على الدين إلى أن يذم بعض العلماء وطلبة العلم. He mentions people's protective jealousy of the religion has caused them to dispraise and to criticize some people of knowledge and students of knowledge. Worse than that is that they start to attack the honor of the leaders. And it leads people to making takfir of the leaders and the likes. How many times people speaking about the rulers of Muslim countries and it's not based on anything of evidence but based on speculation. Based on speculation. I heard. Do you know how much times people have said, I heard the prince is drinking alcohol. Okay, who saw him? Where's the evidence? Where's the pictures? Where's the videos? Where is it? No, I heard. My friend said he was there. He's a high status person. He was there. This is batil. This is not evidence. Rather, what's safe for you is to be quiet. When you hear something like this, make dua that Allah rectifies them. Because those people have an impact on the Muslims of the lands that they govern. So rather than turn the people against them, ask Allah to make them upright. Spend the energy that you have and that supposed protective jealousy of the religion, spend that energy in asking Allah to rectify theirs and our affairs. Because also the leaders of the Muslims are a reflection of ourselves. They are a reflection of ourselves. But again, too many times people say, oh, stay away from that person. And it's based on he doesn't work with so-and-so. So because he's not really with those brothers, he can't be a person of the sunnah. This is batil. This is not the truth. Rather, it shows evil thoughts and evil speculations people have about the Muslims. And again, so many of these guys are cowards. When you pull them up and you want to have a conversation, they run away. They will go around tarnishing you, saying don't take knowledge from you. But then when you say why, what's your evidence, what have I done wrong? They don't even want to have that conversation. Most times because they have no evidence. Because it's based on my teacher said, or this brother said. People that are not even credible have said. Allahul Musta'an. And then when actual scholars, people of knowledge, speak about the people that they take from, they say, no, that wasn't detailed criticism, or that sheikh doesn't really know the reality. But no sheikhs warned against the people you're warning against, other than your teacher alone. That's it. Again, this comes from the injustices of having evil thoughts and speculation against the Muslims. And as we aforementioned, the cure for this, or the treatment, is al-nasiha, advice. Sit down, bring your evidence, and advise me if I'm wrong. And likewise, I can advise you if you're wrong. But it has to be from a place of ikhlas, a place of sincerity, not trying to belittle a person, not to establish some form of authority to a particular organization or people. La, that's not the objective. The objective is, this is the sunnah, and this is where you've opposed it. This is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is where you've opposed it. Here's the evidence. This is what you said. This is what you wrote. X, Y, and Z. A person can say, this is the evidence I had though, that you wasn't privileged to. Or, yes, I didn't know of the evidence, I'll rectify that. But what do they do? There's no opportunity for that. It's straight, you are misguided, innovator, Dajjal al-Ummah, you are the Dajjal of the Ummah, and the likes of this praise. This is not permissible. And they always say, oh, the mistake was public, so we criticize them public. Give advice though. Because the criticism is just literally, don't take knowledge from that person. They're misguided, they're off the sunnah. La. Give them advice. Give them opportunity to rectify their affairs. But no, we've left off the hadith ad-din al-nasiha, that the religion is advice. Of the things that's mentioned by Shaykh Fawzan, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he mentions the strongest methodology regarding dealing with these issues, regarding what you have heard about your brother. He said, أولا إذا سمع قولا في حق أخيه, if a person hears something regarding the rights of their brother, فعليه ألا يبادر ويستعجل ويسيء الظن, it's upon them that they are not hasty and having evil speculations or thoughts about that person. إنما عليه أن يلتمس العذر ما أمكن. It's upon them to try and find the excuse as long as it's possible. Secondly, إن ثبت شيء من المحذور, if something has become affirmed of what was warned against, فالواجب ألا تشيع الأمر, then what's obligatory is that you don't spread it, don't go spreading that. بل نتناصح فيما بيننا فإن الدين النصيحة, rather we are to advise each other among ourselves, because the religion is advice. Because what they're doing, they go and spread these matters among general people that don't know what to do with that information. They think they're doing the right thing. They start making posts on social media. Warn. Stay away from this person. X. This is not the correct methodology. Nor is it the best approach. And of the things that's mentioned, what's the difference between adhan wa shak? with speculation and doubt. He said الظن هو الاحتمال الراجح مع احتمال النقيض. يعني تردد بين أمرين أحدهما راجح والآخر مرجوح. It's when you have something that is possibly the most correct stance and the opposite of it. So one thing is more correct than the other. One is correct, one is not correct. However, as for shak, you're not able to distinguish between either. It's the same to you. That you're not able to see. لا مرجح لأحدهما على الآخر. You're not able to see one to be more correct than the other. Also, when there's no possibility for another option, then that is yaqeen, that's certainty. When there's no possibility for the other option to be correct, one is correct, and that is certainty. You see? But when there's a possibility of either of the matters, then this is adhan. As for when it's the same in terms of you're not sure whether which one is more correct than the other, for you it's the same, then this is doubt. Shak. So when it comes to your brothers, don't think anything but good of them. When it comes to your fellow brothers in Islam and sisters, especially the people of knowledge and the students of knowledge, don't hasten to have evil thoughts, bad speculations of them until you have clear evidence. Because it's not sufficient for you to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, this person was an innovator, for example, based on so and so said. I think so because of who he is and the fact he doesn't work with some particular brothers, so he must be an innovator. There's no way a person doesn't work with these people unless they're people of innovation. This is not evidence. And if a person treads that path, يَقَعُ فِي أَعْرَاضِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, they will fall into transgressing regarding the honor of the Muslims. And as we mentioned, this is of the major sins. To speculate. Also, just to clarify, of the things that you hear them say, unfortunately today, they go on your social media page and they look at your friend list. They look at all the people you follow and say, oh wow, that person he follows is an innovator. He loves him. You're with who you love. How do you know? Maybe I don't even know this person. Maybe the mistakes they've made, I'm not even aware of it. So how can you deduce just because I follow them, I love them? It doesn't mean that at all. It does not mean that at all. But unfortunately, this is when they have no evidence. They make up these things. These principles say, oh, you follow this person on Instagram or on Twitter, khalas, you're with them. Mubtada. La, this is not evidence. This is not evidence. So I want us to be very cautious, transgressing the honors of the Muslims, and leave these matters for people of sound knowledge. Leave these matters for people of sound knowledge. And we have to return back to these people principle. When they have principle, they're able to identify these matters themselves. So they can see, yeah, this person has opposed the sunnah. This is the evidence. Here's the sunnah, this is what they've said and this is what they've done in opposition. It comes with knowledge. Not depending upon, oh, my teacher said. Imagine you study a whole book of fiqh of salah. You study the whole chapter of salah, fiqh of salah. Questions and answers, the person, because they have no true desire for knowledge, Rather than asking anything on the fiqh of salah, they say, Sheikh, what do you say about so-and-so? So the whole class was about fiqh of salah, but then in questions and answers, you're talking about this person, that person. What happened to salah? What happened to everything you just studied? How often do you find this? Why? Because the people are having bad thoughts of their brothers in Islam, especially the students of knowledge, without principle, without evidence, based on he said and she said. And the worst is when you see in the comments, they post a video saying this person's an innovator. Someone says in the comments, what did he do? They genuinely want to know. The person said, no, my teacher said. So-and-so said. This is not evidence. This is not evidence. So we have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have good thoughts of the Muslims unless we have evidence to think otherwise. And unless we have evidence, then we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan, also from the evil thoughts shaitan may place within our hearts. And also, we ask Allah to protect us from those who do not want good for us, who bring about news, and they are people of fisk and kadhib. Allahumma ameen. So if that will come to an end, inshallah ta'ala, and next lesson we'll talk about the severity of lying upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala nabiyyina wa habib Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanakallah wa hamdik, shadu la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.